Hello everybody, welcome to the vlog. I am sorry if you can hear the air conditioner, if that's like super blazing loud or anything. It's still hot because we live in Texas, so there's that. Also, I have this TikTok pop socket. I literally bought this because it was the cheapest one. And also I do make TikTok videos. If you didn't know that, follow me on TikTok. But anyway, Zion loves these pop sockets. So I wanted to get one for my phone so that he could play with it. Anyway, jumping on, I've been creating on TikTok and doing some things. I've been vlogging too. I just did that haul, Pat haul, but I haven't really sat down like this and talked in several days. And so I wanted to sit down and tell you guys a story. I know I look probably rough. It's the end of a Sunday, and as pastors, you know, Sundays are a lot for us. But anyway, it's the end of the day. I'm actually feeling kind of dehydrated. I'm not feeling my best tonight. I even went and got some body armor. Manny and I and Zion went to get some because I just haven't been feeling great. I don't know, the past few days I just haven't like physically felt great. Hopefully I'm not sick. I don't feel like I'm sick. It's just weird. I may actually turn the air up for a second because it's actually getting chilly. If I'm talking quieter than normal, I know I'm not normally quiet. Manny's actually doing bedtime with Zion tonight, so I don't want to be too loud. He has a sound machine, so I know they can't hear me, but when he's trying to go to sleep, he's obviously more distracted if you hear stuff. So anyway, the other day, today's Sunday, so on Tuesday, it's been almost a week. On Tuesday, we were at the office. It was the afternoon. We were about to leave. It was close to leaving time. It was about 3 o'clock. Zion walked out of our office into our like conference room area, which he always does. He's always walking around the church. And he took off trying to run, which again, he always does. He's 14 months old. He's always running or trying to jump, or, you know, he's a 14-month-old toddler boy. Very curious, very fun, you know, all of that. And so he's always falling. Actually, he is more steady and stable, I would say, than a lot of 14-month-old babies. He is, like, he takes his time. If he's going over a step or something, I mean, he thinks things through. He's very smart. But, of course, he's a toddler. So he's walking out, and he is, sorry, I got a notification. He's walking out, and he is, oh, man, he's coming up. So anyway, he was walking out of the, like, around the conference area, and he fell, which he's a toddler, so he does that sometimes, and, you know, pretty regularly. I mean, it wasn't like a big fall. It wasn't like he got up on a chair and jumped off. I mean, it wasn't like anything that you would imagine would be an injury. He just literally, like, fell, you know, tripped over his feet kind of thing. I watched him do it. I was walking behind him, and it just happened fast. I mean, he was just on the floor. And so I knew, you know, his hands hit too, so it was kind of like a smacking sound you could hear. So I knew he felt kind of hard, but I didn't think it would be like that. I just thought, you know, he took a fall. I mean, a typical fall. But he started crying, which he actually doesn't cry very often for injuries either. Like, he's very tough. And so he started really, really crying. And I was like, okay, he obviously must be hurt. So anyway, I picked him up, and Manny came out because he heard him crying, and he also heard him fall. And so I picked him up, and he had a little bit of blood on his mouth, just like a drop. And so obviously, as a mom, like, I was panicked, but not too bad at that point. I was like, well, he just kind of fell over. I mean, maybe like bit his tongue, you know, or something, like just a small thing. I was thinking, like, obviously probably not much because I watched him fall, and it wasn't like a major fall by any means. So anyway, then as I'm picking him up, it starts bleeding more, and I am not being funny at all. It was the most blood I have ever seen, like, for anything like that. I mean, I've had nieces and nephews for years and years and years. So even before I was a mom, I'd seen these kid injuries, regularly. And I mean, my nephews had some really bad injuries. And so I'm not saying that theirs weren't. I mean, they did have some, as they got older, some pretty intense injuries. But theirs was mostly really bad with like the bruising and the swelling, like black eyes and things like that. But this was the most blood I have ever witnessed, I think, in person for any type of injury. It was insane. His mouth just started like a movie. I'm not even being funny or dramatic. I am dramatic sometimes, but Manny will tell you to, and he's not dramatic. It was literally like gushing out of his mouth. I've never seen anything like it. I didn't know. I was like, this is crazy. So we run to the kitchen, which is right there, and we're trying to get like paper towels or something to wipe this blood up with. It was gushing out of his mouth. So I'm thinking, okay, did he bust his tooth out? And then I'm like panicked, obviously. I knew it was his mouth. I knew he didn't hurt anything else because you could tell where it was. And he didn't have a bump on his head. I watched him hit. I knew for sure he didn't hit his head. His head was, when he fell, he was holding his head up. And he just like fell down and hit his lip like that. He didn't hit his head, thankfully. If he had hit his head, I probably wouldn't. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. So anyway, he thank you. He keeps bleeding. I mean, it doesn't bleed for that long or would have gone to the emergency room, but obviously when you're in that situation, like 2 seconds literally feels like an eternity. So our children's pastor was there and she was in her office. One of our best friends, Krista, he's putting all the toys away. They're all making a noise. One of our best friends, Krista, had literally just walked out the door. She would have been like really helpful as well if she'd been there because she's very calm and all of that. And she has 3 kids and stuff like that. So anyway, she had literally just left. So our children's pastor was there. She has several kids. She's, I knew she'd seen injuries before. And so anyway, I go and get her. I'm like, can you come out here and just like look at his mouth? I literally said to her, I don't know what I expect you to do, but can you just come out here? I just needed, like, my mom obviously doesn't live around here. My mom is the person that I ask those things, and I did FaceTime her after, but in that moment, I just didn't even have a chance to grab my phone at all because I was holding him. And so she came out, the children's pastor came out and was like, yeah, I mean, mouths bleed a lot. Which, honestly, I'd heard that before, but in that moment, it didn't dawn on me, like, oh, it's probably not that bad, it's probably just because of the area. So her saying that actually really did help me. I'm like, okay, maybe it's normal, maybe this is all normal. And so also immediately his lip got really swollen, and I mean, like, immediately. It was swollen by the time I picked him up. Had gotten him fully up off the floor. It was, like, literally swelling as I was picking him up. It was crazy. So then I'm like, do we need to go to the emergency room or not? I mean, honestly, I don't really want to put him through the emergency room, and all the thing, waiting and sitting in that room, and he's uncomfortable and, whatever else, if they're not going to do anything. Because I've been before where they've been like, yeah, there's absolutely nothing we could do, I've never even really had an injury like that. I just went for an ear infection one time and they were like, yeah, take some decongestant, like, you're fine. So anyway, and I went for another thing. It was like, it was because I had anxiety. But anyways, so I didn't have a lot of experience with injuries. I've never really had an injury. Manny has, but it's been a long time. So he actually injured his lip as well, much worse. But anyway, so I'm thinking, do we need stitches? Like, of course, as parents, you're just thinking, oh my gosh, this is not good. I mean, his mouth is gushing blood. So our children's pastor looked at it and she was like, I don't think he needs any stitches or anything. I don't think it's cut. I think it's just, basically it was like scraped is how I would describe it. Like my mom said, it looked rug burn, like I had rug burn. It looked more like a scrape, but it was very swollen, probably just from, my sister said, just like hit it just the right angle or whatever. So anyway, long story short, he doesn't have any type of split or anything like that in his lip. We didn't go to the emergency room. It stopped bleeding within a couple of minutes, although it felt like 3 hours. And so the swelling was down a lot by the next day, and the day after that, it was pretty much gone. And then the day that it was pretty much gone, he tripped again, which he's never been injured like this. And he's been walking since he turned 1 consistently, but he tripped again and bumped it again. It wasn't as bad this time, but it did start bleeding like a little tiny. I think it was just like, it just irritated it, And anyway, I was like, went back into, me and Manny both was like back into panic mode. I know now I can talk about it calmly because he's totally fine. But I'm not exaggerating. I have never been that scared in my life. I really thought, and I know like it's his mouth, and looking back I can reason about that, and I can say like, even if it busted his teeth out, I mean, that would be terrible, but he would survive it, you know, and I know that logically, but I was so concerned as a parent. He's never cried that hard. He absolutely wailed. I mean, it was like the saddest thing ever. And I was holding him, so I had blood literally all over me, which, I mean, I don't care about that, but it was just to tell you how bad the blood was. Manny said it looked like I had been stabbed, and my, like, a couple of, like, the children's pastor and the youth pastor, my friend, she came in during all of that, and she was like, you literally looked worse than him. You looked like you had been, like, in a fight. I had blood smeared all over my chest, I had a wig on, it was in my wig, on my, just everywhere. It was absolutely crazy. His shirt, he was wearing a white shirt, covered in blood. It was so much blood. I knew lips bleed a lot, but that was like next level. So thankfully he is okay. It was our first like real like actual injury. He's never had an injury before. I am just so thankful it was not worse than that. Thankfully we didn't need stitches or like, thankfully it wasn't his head that got hit and, you know, anything like that. I know it could have been much worse, but it's just like, as a parent in that moment when you can't fix it, I couldn't make his lip feel better. We put, you know, cold stuff on it and all that as quickly as we could. You panic, like, is he going to be able to eat? Is he going to be able to, at that time he was still drinking a bottle. We've actually just the past couple of days went to sippy cups only and he's doing amazing. But was he going to be able to take his bottle? Is he going to be in pain for days? Is it going to be like, you know, and thankfully he healed so quickly and I'm so thankful for that. But I was absolutely terrified when I saw that blood coming out of his mouth. I literally could barely speak. I mean, I was just so terrified that something had happened to him. And it's like this parent instinct comes and you're just like, fix my baby. Like, I need to do something for him. I was telling Krista afterwards, I don't even remember what I said to people. I was probably rude to people coming in because I was just like so in the zone, like I need to fix him. And Manny, same thing, like we were just both in it together, like we need to fix this, you know, and we need to help him feel better. And so anyway, he's all good now. He's actually can't even tell. But I just want to share that story with you guys because I don't know, it's such an incredible thing to be a parent. There's nothing that like you know, it's just like this little person that you love in a way that you've never loved anybody else. It's so incredible, and it just broke my heart to see him so hurt and to be bleeding like that. It was so terrifying. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Dr. Douglas's office is Karen. Can you hold?
Yes. Hi, I was told to call on cycle day 1 to get my saline sonogram set up for my next transfer cycle.
Okay. When did you start?
Last night.
Okay, and the last name is?
Owuku?
Okay, just 1 second. We can do it Tuesday, the 20th at 9 o'clock. We can do Wednesday, the 21st at 9.
Okay.
Thursday at 8:30.
Okay. I assume this will always be like an early morning appointment, right?
Yes.
Okay. Can we do Tuesday?
Of course, at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Okay, so I'm going to give a little update. So obviously I called, Son has the broom. Obviously I just called the IVF clinic because they told me to call on cycle day 1, which actually has been kind of a weird situation, but technically it started last night. So I had to call this morning because obviously they're not open. If you have like emergencies in IVF or something, you can still call. They're not open, but for this it really doesn't matter. They just have to get you in like basically the first 10 days of your cycle. My clinic always tries to do like the first so they usually try to get me in like the first 5 or 6 days. But anyway, so the reason for that is they do a saline sonogram, which you heard the doctor, if you heard my last video about this, talk about what it is. But I also have a video getting a saline sonogram. I filmed last time I got one. They basically just shoot saline into you to kind of see if you have uterine polyps or fibroids, things like that. And so they're also looking for scar tissue or anything that would possibly prevent the embryo from sticking to you. They are looking for that. That way they can get rid of it. So that's why I always say this is a process, because just because it's cycle day 1, this is just one of the cycles before the cycle we do IVF. This is not like actually, no matter how it falls, this won't be the cycle. There will have to be another cycle. So anyway, they have this, and then you have your saline sonogram, and you kind of find out. I'll know then. I mean, I'll know like right then. If I have to do anything, they'll just be standing there and they'll tell me if they see anything. That's kind of how our clinic does it. I know everybody's different, but that's how they did it last time. The sonographer and the RE was standing there and just telling me what they saw, and nothing came up last time. There was an air bubble that they said might have been like a fibroid or something, like a small polyp. I think they said polyp. Yeah, it could have been a small polyp, but it turned out not being one. It was an air bubble, so I didn't have anything last time. This time around, I've had a C-section, and so I think it could obviously look different, and things will probably look different anyway, because I've had one baby. Last time I had never been pregnant or anything, so I'm sure things are just different now. So we'll just have to look at that and just see, you know, what that looks like. But earliest we would transfer would be sometime in October. It could easily go into literally December or the first of the year if I have to have a surgery, because I'm pretty sure you have to also have a break time for healing. It's not like a major surgery. It's just, you know, you need to be at your best for a transfer as far as that area goes. So anyway, we're officially starting the process again. It's actually starting, and Tuesday we'll know more about. He's showing what he's doing. He's trying to clean the floor. He's dumping the dustpan into the trash can like I do. He's waving. He wants to say hi. Hi, buddy. Say hi. Hi, handsome little boy. Hi. So yeah, that's kind of our little update about IVF. Tuesday I will vlog, and also planning on doing a short vlog on TikTok on Tuesday, just going to the appointment. So I really enjoy actually going to our clinic. Don't grab that, buddy. That's yucky. It's very nice clinic. They're nice. I love Dallas. I love the Dallas area so much. I would live there. I love going there, but the only issue is obviously Dallas is a couple hours from us, actually more than that, 2.5 hours. I mean, it can be longer if you have traffic. It's just one of those, but you just never know how long it's going to be, but about 2.5 on average. And so we have to be there at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we don't, you know, have family here or anything like that. And even if we did, I hate to be away from Zion. So if my mom was here or something like that, I would leave him with her. You know, like my sisters, Manny's sisters, if people like that were here, I would feel comfortable with it. But even though I do still hate to be away from him, but since we don't have family or anything here, it's like we have to load him up, and I'm not going to take him into the fertility clinic. I just think that that's rude, and just, you know, for people that are still like, fertility clinics are very different. If you've never been to one, there's like a very somber feeling. Sometimes people are sitting in the waiting room crying. Sometimes, you know, it would be very uncomfortable, I think. And I don't want to make anybody even more sad. It's a hard process. So I really don't want to bring him in, and they probably really don't want me to either. And so anyway, Manny doesn't have to come in for the saline sonogram. Literally nothing really exciting happens. You just lay there, and then they say what they say, and I'll let him know. It's either going to be one thing or the other. It's not really too complicated, but so I'm going to bring him, and Manny's going to keep him. But when we do our transfer, we may just try to come up with, you know, childcare for him if they're going to let Manny come in with me. Because last time Manny couldn't come into the transfer because of COVID. So I would like for him to be able to come in this time, of course. And they definitely wouldn't let Zion do that, you know, even if I wanted to, because it's a surgery room. The transfer is actually pretty serious. So but Manny might be able to go. So we're just kind of figuring that out. Obviously, this round is different in the best way ever. I can't even believe that we're actually to this point where we're figuring out like all of this stuff because we actually have a baby. It's like the most incredible blessing ever. And it makes this transfer cycle less stressful because I know that I can get pregnant. I know that it is possible. I know that it is possible for me to have a healthy pregnancy and, you know, all of that. And last time, honestly, I didn't know that. I knew that we had male factor infertility, but without having the chance to ever get pregnant, I really didn't know if I could either. You know, they don't really know that until you do. They assumed nothing was wrong, but they don't know. And so it's like, you could have gotten to the transfer and then it could have not worked because maybe something was wrong with me and not lining up right. But I know that I can get pregnant and I can carry a pregnancy full term and I didn't have any issues. So I'm just, you know, that history that I have now helps, but it is still stressful because this is, thank you, baby. That's nice. Hi. He's just so sweet. He's like, oh my gosh, the sweetest baby ever. But, it is still stressful. You know, I want Zion to have siblings and I want all of that. And so this is our last embryo from the cycle we did in 2020. And even if it wasn't our last, there are babies and they each matter to us. But also, you know, it just feels very final for this cycle and it feels like this has to work. And so you pray for us, pray for me. There is some feelings of anxiety and of just fear, to be honest. It really is. It's just, you know, it worked out so perfectly last time. It's like the enemy tries to get in your mind and say like, well, there's no way that could happen that way again. You know, even with the saline sonogram, it's like, I'm sure last time it was perfect, but there's no way, like after a C-section and all that. And I know I'm being negative about it. Some of that is just thinking practically because it's a pretty realistic way of thinking, but also God is so much bigger than that. And I could go into that saline sonogram and everything be completely clear and be great, just like it was last time. I don't know. And so I'm just trying to think that way, even though it's really hard, because infertility is scary and IVF is hard and it's a blessing. And I'm so thankful that we have this opportunity because not everybody does. Some people can never do IVF. Some people can't because of their medical condition. Some people can't because of their financial situation. And so we are in a very privileged spot to be able to do this, to just pick up and do an IVF transfer. A lot of people have to raise funds first before they can do that, and I understand that because it is so expensive and we've been very blessed to be able to do it. So anyway, that's my little update. Hello everybody, it is Saturday morning. I've needed to wrap this vlog up. Sometimes I forget what I've done, and recently I've done a few TikToks, and so I feel like I had wrapped a vlog up, but it wasn't a vlog. It was like different TikToks and stuff. So I said before, follow me on TikTok. I said we're going to do like IVF updates in real time. I will vlog that here on this channel as well. But I'm also going to do small vlogs on TikTok. Zion was wearing my wig grip again. He loves to wear that. He literally grabs it and tries to put it on his head. Hi, buddy. Can you say hi? Hi. Hi. He just had a little bit of a cinnamon roll, which I don't think I've ever had before. A pumpkin spice one. So anyway, we are going to be vlogging like small vlogs. Obviously, that's how TikTok works. So just like those real quick vlogs that people post. We're going to do some of those of our IVF cycle this time around, our transfer cycle. So that will be even more so in real time than these videos. These videos usually come a day or two later, you know, typically, sometimes more, but typically like I try to do like the next day at the most, I can't think of that word, at the most. Sometimes I even like in December, you know, we do Vlogmas where we do every day, we literally upload every day. But TikTok will just probably be like that same day, like as soon as, like when we're on our way home from the appointment, I'll just go ahead and post it. So it'll be very, very close to real time. And so anyway, I'm trying to get to a certain amount of followers on there so I can go live and do some things. So if you're interested in that, some worship stuff, make sure you follow. That will help me out, but also I think it'll be a fun thing for everybody. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna wrap up this vlog. I know in this vlog I talked about Zion's lip, so I wanted to give a little update. Obviously, you just saw him. His lip is completely fine. He has no anything. We finally got to see his teeth. Honestly, it was so swollen at first. I couldn't even tell if his teeth were damaged. I was just like, hopefully not. There's nothing they could do if they were. But as you can see, his lip is completely healed. So he's all good. But my camera's dying. I need to end this vlog. My baby wants me. I'll see you later. Remember, you are incredible. Jesus loves you. We'll see you in the next one. Say bye. Bye.